Welcome to the Coffee's Conversation and Keeping It Real podcast. I'm your host, Philip Marcel, here with my co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Trina George.
And today, Trina, we have a special guest. We have the talented Mr. Wester Joseph.
Woohoo! I am excited.
The guitar man, the actor.
Yeah.
He's been on screen.
Yeah.
He's played stages around the world.
I've done all of those things. That was fun.
All the above.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, man. So what's going on? How you doing, man?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking me to come out today.
Absolutely. Wanted to hear, Coffee's Conversation and Keeping It Real. We like to dig in with people and talk about what they do, their passion, their grind, because, we do have to live off of our grind.
Oh, my
God.
goodness.
We do. And,
yeah.
But it's not always easy. It's not, we're not, like, for the most part, I don't really know millionaires in my circle yet. We're all trying to get
I know
to
some
it.
decent thousandaires. I've been a thousandaire once or twice.
That's right,
yeah. I've been a thousandaire once or twice. That was nice.
Yeah.
It is the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Absolutely. So, Wester, tell the people who you are and what you do. A little bit about it, man.
Hello, my name is Wester Joseph. I'm a musician, actor. I'm currently based in Gainesville, Florida. So.
Okay, I just love your name because I too have two first names.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you like that?
Okay, I'm Trina George and you're Wester Joseph.
Wester
so we
Joseph.
have two people on the show with two first names.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, I'm Haitian, so
Yeah.
Wester's kind of like an old school Haitian name. So
yeah?
I think there's only like a couple Westers in the country. Although I did meet a Scottish family with the last name Wester. They mistook me for a relative.
Really?
Yeah, that was fun. that was fun. They were good people. They got the joke and they invited me anyway. I was like, oh yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Oh man, that's wild. That's funny,
I had a good time.
That's funny as I don't know what, man. Cool. So like, I don't even know where to start with you, the music or the acting, man. Started with the music, right?
I mean, well, once upon a time in Florida, I was born, and then I started growing as what was my first instrument? I think it was the trumpet, and then my mother didn't want to pay for it anymore, so I started playing tuba because that was the coolest thing I could do.
Oh snap!
But I love the tuba. If anybody knows a little secret about me, I secretly love the tuba.
Oh,
that's amazing.
I did not know that.
I played in marching band. I'm a very svelte fellow, so imagine me 75 pound sousaphone. My brother and I were in it, but I was in a band with my brother called Buddha and the Blessed Child, and we had a couple. We threw a couple left hooks in there, and I got in the punk rock scene and played with some like bands like Ugly Kid Joe and My Life of Agony, and we had fun when it was hard rocking,
right?
And then so I was in like a lot of punk rock metal bands because I didn't know, and then when I came up to Gainesville, I had a good friend of mine, Femi Kakoi, and he played with Fela Kuti and some guys. So he really, I call it my back to black period. So he really got me back into just like African music and and music from Brazil. I jammed a little bit with people from Jacara, Brazil, and started learning Brazilian things.
Man.
And then I had a big Afrobeat band with like 27 people. And so I just kind of like, people would teach me things and I would get interested, and my friends used to joke and call me the Black Ambassador because I was, because I played in rock clubs, but yet I'm able to kind of go to these indigenous kind of places and take the sounds back and forth.
Oh.
Not a lot of, because, you play in certain circles and you don't know how to make that bridge, but then I'll go play in a blues bar, but I'll play Afrobeat because it's funky like the blues to me, and people don't realize it's Africa. People are sweating there too, making funk. So, so I just, that kind of became like my thing. I became that guy. Like people, I'm a lefty like Jimmy, but then, to escape that kind of like, oh, you're like Jimi Hendrix, I really tried to like get back to the core of what it meant to be a black guitar player for myself. I'm not like Tiger Woods a guitar or anything,
Right,
but
right.
you know, I got a little swag. I got a little swag on that thing.
There's something going on there.
Yeah. He's actually gonna be hooking us up with some stuff for our show. So
Yeah. I'm
gonna
gonna
use some tracks. And stuff
they've asked for some music, so I'm like, dust a couple things off. But,
yeah, man.
So yeah, you know, I had a good time with that, but then that's what kind of led me into the acting thing. You know, working with Dez.
Yeah.
The first time I did a little kung fu. I'm more of a practitioner, but I almost threw up because if you've ever worked with Dez, he'll put that work to you.
That's right.
And so when I almost threw up, he asked me what I did, and I was like, I make music. It's like funny. I have something that needs music, and here we are 20 years later. So.
Right on. yes, that's right. That's right. So. Still putting music to film. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes. So how was it like coming up and being able to just find places to play and shows to get paid in a sense? Or was it?
It's like, I would say if you're trying to make money from this, then you're probably not. Mm-hmm. You know, and don't get me wrong. I've got plenty of friends who are like session musicians. They have a certain amount of skill. They know how to like do the thing. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, a lot of my friends are like really great sidemen, and some of them have like stepped out onto their own. You know, they were great then, and they're great now. Like I played with a cat in college that plays with Gary Clark Jr. and you know, and there's been some things, but me, I've always been like, I always used to joke and say it was half strat will travel. So it's you know, this idea of like the everyman kind of blues thing. Like I have a guitar, and I know if I play this well enough, I probably find a place to sleep and something to eat. You know, like it was like that at some points. But you know, it's like some Robin Hood thing. You just get a merry band of adventurers, and then they're like, "Hey, I got a van. I know where to go. Hey, my friend will let me sleep at this house." And then 8 years later, you're playing bigger shows and things keep going. So the grind is more like, do you have the attitude for disappointment? It's like, what's your level of, you know, what's your level? It's like everybody can understand the things that they want, right? But can they kind of imagine the things that they don't want and really understand what it takes either not to have them or to learn from them? Because some things, especially in this business, people are going to screw you out of money. People are going to lie to you and deceive you, but at the same time, there's so many good people. There's so many connections. There's, like I said, there's people that I played with 10, 15 years ago who are doing big things, but not necessarily music. Maybe they're the guy behind the scenes. They became the promoter. So like that idea that like, that's why they say never burn a bridge, because that one guy that's just into it now will be the guy that keeps it going 20 years from now. So it's like, if you appreciate that. So like for me, I was never worried about being big in the, like I've always said, like if I leave this earth and someone like, you know, blows dust off a CD somewhere and pops it in and you know, here's some songs like The Storm or anything like that, or any of the projects I've been in, Sophonic, Stereo Voodoo, you know, I've been in all kinds of things. So it's like, and they appreciate it then that's good enough for me, because I just love to play. But as far as making the money, you got to weigh it. You know, it's like you got a job during the week. Your mother wants you to be a lawyer. You know, you can do all these things and enjoy your art, because at the end of the day, you know, it's either in you or it's not. So it's like, if it's in you, nothing is going to stop you from doing nothing. But you don't necessarily have to hang your whole hat on it. Which, you know, allowed me to mentally go different places, because for a long time it was my identity. You know, my father passed when I was young, so it made me like, and to avoid like kind of getting in trouble, you know, I was born in South Florida and born in Miami, you know. You know, anything could have happened, but you know, my mom's like, read your books, Weston. You know? Right. You know, and we turned out well. I got a brother that's a nuclear engineer. I got a wonderful family. But for me, being the firstborn son, it was like, and one of the first people in my family born in America, there's this kind of identity, there's this pressure. But then I realized there wasn't, the way to represent it was to kind of be the thing I wanted to be, like 100%, and to kind of understand it through that. And so, you know, I played music. I can't even say like I played a style, because I'll play with whoever I've learned from people. But you know, I've gotten to an age where now it's expanding. It's kind of, I don't know, it's reversing around, but you know, and it led me into acting, so that worked out well too.
And how like how has the transition been? Like, well, not even the transition, but just adding on the acting.
Well, you know, it's funny because when I was younger, I guess I thought of acting as like a thing you turn on and off. It's something that you do because you're trying to hide, or it took me a while to realize it's more like a clothes make the man situation. That's the way I think of acting now. Like you're extending a part of yourself that you can't play with, or you know, I didn't know I could act till someone was like, you can act. Like when I first did things with Dez, it was in a musical capacity. Right. And then he would ask me, hey, Wes, stand in front of camera and do this. And then I was on the cutting room floor. And then I think I got beat up, killed. I've gotten killed for a lot. I get killed a lot. Like I died a lot. Now, you got to earn your bones. Like, let me tell you, when you're acting, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna play a slave. You're gonna play like a vintage. If I could tell you, and I'm just being, you know, as like, you know, with Dez, it's been it's been great, and the whole Workhorse crew has been great because I've worked with guys that look like me, and we're creating something, and it works, and we have an idea, and it goes from beginning to end, and we make it, and it gets bigger and better and bigger and better. Right. You know, when I first did like the bigger acting, like I did Jane Mansfield's Car with Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah. And that was just kind of like one of those things, because speaking of the grind, you know, I had played and had gotten to a point that I was not necessarily getting the attention of, because people are like, people probably listening now, like, who's this guy Wester Joseph? Maybe I'm just a musician's musician, baby. You don't know. Right? But you know, they like, but like honestly, I've jammed with cats who are the cats. So like, I had the opportunity to tour with the great Colonel Bruce Hampton Aquarium Rescue Unit, and we got to be really friendly. We talked about Ornette Coleman, and we were jazz, and I actually went on the road with him quite a few times and played the circuit, which helped me to make connections with guys who play in that circuit. I jammed with Kofi Burbage, who passed recently. You know, bless his soul, but you know, and just Colonel Bruce introduced me to a lot of guys. You know. And what happened is that he was really good friends with Billy Bob Thornton. And Billy Bob Thornton's looking for a Jimi Hendrix guy. I happen to be left-handed. But at the end of the day, I had to go through this big process and meet Billy Bob. And this had Robert Duvall and Kevin Bacon. So I'm thinking, I'm not getting it. That's basically what I thought. I'm like, don't get my hopes up. Don't play with my emotions. You know what I'm saying? Because I went to a room, and you know, you got your paper. You're supposed to play this character, right? And I had never experienced going into a room, and there are like 40 guys with guitar players. A couple of them left-handed, a couple guys. I'm like, oh man, snap. That brother looks like he's got it together. You know, But when I went and did the audition, it was just the beautiful thing is they allowed me to be myself. No one was telling me to like act. Even when I did, you know, he gave me the greatest, you know, acting lesson ever, because I did my role. Really? When I finally got to meet him, and I'm at the big table full of producers, you know, and all I'm thinking to myself, never let him see sweat. Never, you know, I just got like Old Spice commercials in my head. I was raised by the television, you know. So, you know, I did my part, and then he stopped me, and he's like, basically, pared down, we hired you for you. He's like, let me tell you something. He's like, this is the movies. He's like, if you give me this, and I'm putting my hands to show certain levels, because if you're not watching, if you're just listening, but he's like, you give me this, and we can make you look like that. He's like, you're giving me that, so you're good. Oh wow. You know, he's just like, just say the lines and just say them, and I did the lines, and he's like, that's what we're looking for. He's like, welcome to production. I'm like, just like that. He's like, just like that. And, you know, I get to work. And plus, he's a musician. But the beautiful thing is the serendipity. Life imitates art. He's a musician. So I didn't realize that sitting at the table, he totally knows where I'm coming from. Oh, wow. We talk about the grind. We talk about the bands. And so I didn't even because that's what I'm saying. It was like a church and state thing with like acting. I separated them, not realizing that he was on Muscle Shoals, and he's been playing since like the 70s. That's what. Yes. Wow. He's got a band called the Boxmasters. They're amazing. So he's a drummer. He's a drummer. He's a singer. he's got a great little they got a great little mod sound, and so like, and I had heard it before, but when you hear that, you're so far away from it. So that was the thing. It was kind of like a real recognized real. I don't want to. That feels odd. I mean, I felt like I did my job. You know, I got hired to do a thing. So he was a musician. So that's what he said, like timing, presence. He's like, you've already played in front of crowds, so you already know what to do, right? And so it was that trust from a musician. Had he had just been like a guy chomping on a cigar, hey, kid, I'm gonna make you a star or whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have necessarily believed him, but because we spent hours talking about being in the mud. Like here's a guy with an Oscar talking to me about being in the mud, doing a thing, and then he's like, hey, you want to go jam? I'm like, yeah, that's what I do, man. You know, so like yeah, because they wanted somebody that was not just authentic. I had to play this song. So when I did the scene in Jane Mansfield's car, I'm actually singing, because I was like, I don't know how to fake play guitar. That's what I'm about, you know. And he's like, that's why we called you. So, and it was my first kind of thing in the acting, and that just like, I mean, I've done I've tried to do more movies. Like I've done hundreds of auditions, and we might have a big project coming out apparently. You know, with I'm excited. I'm gonna get to play an evil. You know, I'm working on my Roundhouse. You know, so like I'm getting my martial arts skills together, and so you know that they all tied together for me. And then I had a band called Stereo Voodoo, and we made an album. I got to tour Brazil. You know, I played in Germany, and you know, I got to do a few things, and then you know, I did some plays. I did 12 Years a Slave, played Solomon. I just played Malcolm X on stage, which was man, it is hard to get in Malcolm X. Like I was intimidated. You know what I discovered, and I don't mean to, but I discovered something about, because that's part of the grind. Because I say when you're treading the boards, like that's when you're doing plays, treading the boards. It's like, once I did the bigger movie, it really kind of disassociated me with kind of what I had done up until that point, because I was always about just doing it in the moment, being real. And the movie was like a year, you know, going to premieres, doing things, and you know, and I'm just like, I'm just swept up at that point, you know, like I'm hanging out with people, and you know, I get to shake people's hands. Like you know, there's nothing crazier than going to see a movie in another country, and you're sitting there and you look front, you look back, you look left, and you look right, and you realize every single person that is around you, you having a DVD somewhere. That's an intense feeling, because what did I mention? I'm from Gainesville, Florida. You know, like they pull me up on stage with these people's like Ron White, John Hurt, bless his soul. I mean, when I worked on this film, John Hurt, who's like one of the greatest actors of all time, he kind of like took me under his wing, and you know, I'm a raconteur because of John Hurt. You know, I love John Hurt, and he's everything. Him and Ray Stevenson and Irma P. Hall. You know, just these older actors were like telling me about their first experiences, and we would have coffee every day and conversation coffee and conversation every day. Every day, every morning we had our little spot to not. So what I learned was kind of how to learn, as opposed to like, I'm gonna be famous, or I'm gonna be this. It was like, okay, put this in your tool bag. You learn how to learn. Yeah, and to put this in your tool bag, you know, and right next to the humble pie, and just do your thing. You know, because like it was, for me, it was like this. By all accounts, apparently I was on top of my game. I did everything. I you know, even like little things you don't think about, like bragging or boasting. You do those things because you're nervous and you're so like the normal things that would normally happen to me, or my normal music ego, that just went out the door, and I just listened. I just was a fly on the wall. When, you know, I had the trailer with my, you know, everybody's got this nice big little star. I got the one with the masking tape and the pen, but I'm still feeling pretty special, you know? You know, like, I'm like, hey, it's air conditioned. I work with that, you know, like, and so I learned all these things. And when I came back, it gave me a little crisis of conscience as far as like, now what am I about? I've been about this one thing, the grind. And here's a taste of the life. Which one you know, which one's Coke or Pepsi. You know, it's a Coke or Pepsi situation. Depends on which one you like. You know, I can go off and do this thing and do the grind. You know, I was able to pick up an agent, do blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But I miss my humble pie. I miss it, you know? So, like, that's something you don't realize. Like, you don't realize what's going to happen, how you're going to feel when you finally catch that tiger by the tail.
Yeah.
You don't think about that. You don't think, was there something so wrong playing in smoky bars just for myself and loving life? Do I need an agenda to do this thing? What's it really about for me? That was, I mean, you know, I'm a little longer in the tooth than maybe some of your listeners, even though, you know.
No, probably not. No.
Yeah, you know, I'm 40, you know.
Oh, no, but we got some, it'll be older business people.
Yeah, I'm right on that. I'm in my 40, you know, I'm in my 40s. So I've done enough. I'm young enough that I can still do the things and still follow my dreams, but old enough, I know better. So it's like this, it was kind of like, okay, I can go off and do these things and do bigger projects, but I'm kind of just a cog in the wheel, you know. Just by the things it taught me a lot about life. Just reading, just the things you don't think about, like reading a script and seeing a script, and you know, as an African American man, this is I call it the Black Panther effect, because this is what it was like 5 years ago. If I got a script, and I would get hundreds of them sometimes, and sometimes they'll be for Marvel movies and little things I can't talk about, but like I would just read, and in the first line, it's like racially ambiguous, light skin. So I'm like, whenever I get things for like a darker skinned character, it'd be like slave, thug, slave, thug. It's like, you know, I'd just be like, I mean, the one that made me quit was when I finally got a script, and one of the characters' name was Massa, and I had to address him as that. I was like, oh, come on. I was like, you're killing me here, man. Yeah. Come on, Hollywood. I never even hear about these movies. Why am I getting all of these scripts? You know, just that kind of feeling where I'm just like, oh, man, I miss making my own agenda, making my own grind, having my merry band of people and fans that just follow, you know, you're not even your vision, just your dream, just your vibe, you know? So like it kind of made me get back into it. And then I started working with Des again, which is ultimately what I began to realize. I worked on that big independent production, because that's really what it was, even though it was, you know, Academy Award winners and whatnot, you know, it's like a big independent production. So I didn't realize at the time that it gave me kind of that mental skill set, that level, like I was the guy in the crew that had, you know, touched the sun. So like, you know, like, so when I came back, I was like, okay, it hurt, but I'm not dead. I think we can do this, you know? So like, so it brought back a lot of vibe. And then Des is just like, because I was explaining my frustrations to Des about it. And then he was like, you know, and for years we kept joking about the Black Panther. And it was just like, you know, that you know, I was like, maybe I should make my own thing and blah, blah, blah. And we've talked about it before. And we're like, we're going to take that one idea I have with Boba Benny and turn it into a comic book. And we're doing all of that. So like all of a sudden it's like, I've refilled that space with the grind again, right? Those dreams, you have those dreams and those visions, those itches you got to scratch, and you're like, well, and then but now that I've known before as a young man, I didn't know if I could do it. So that eternal promise is what keeps you motivated. Right. Now as a, you know, leaning towards middle age, man, I'm like thinking, okay, now that I've done it, how much more can I do? And can I do it the way I want? And can I make it matter to myself and to other people? Because like I said, if nobody listens to it, it doesn't matter to me. It just, as long as one person dusts it off, blows the dust off, pops that in, shakes their booty, I'm good. You know, that's spiritually where I'm at with it. And once I've made that resolve, it's kind of just fun to see what else is out there as far as creativity, making something. But, you know, I mean, I tell anybody that's trying to work, be serious, be ready, be prepared to be disappointed. Because just if you can accept disappointment, then you can accept acceptance, because neither state is permanent. You know, it's just like quantum entanglement. You'll like you'll be like exactly where you want to be, but thinking about the person you used to be at the same time, wondering which one's the real one. You know, wishing you could superimpose one over the other. You know, so you know, it's just having fun. You know. But, sorry, I didn't mean to like blah blah blah.
Oh no, you do it. That's what we want, man. Yes.
Now, do you write your own songs too?
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
You enjoy that?
Yes, I mean, Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as far as like
you're like hands down.
Yeah,
yes.
hands down. And I love doing other people's poetry. I love certain artists. I love Charles Bradley and all the things. I want to be my heroes. So of course you got to write and throw things away and not care. But yeah, I write and I play a few different instruments. I've gotten into the African kora. That's my new spirit instrument. Oh yeah. That's my new thing. I love it. It's fun for me. Yeah, don't exactly have the guts to make a record with it. It's fun for me though.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's fun
we'll
for
see.
me. But
you got gifts to share with the world, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll make it, and if they want to look in my direction and turn up the volume for a moment, that's cool too.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Yeah,
but man, it's like you're doing it on your own terms, man, and finding that peace, that happiness, that place.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you gotta. It's like one thing it taught me, marching band. I mean, the moral of the story is play well with others. It's just like you're gonna, like in finding myself. In finding myself, I realized that myself was in other people and themselves was in me. Yeah. So it's easy to recognize that, which is the moral of the story about the meeting with Billy Bob Thornton. It was explaining to me why, like it was inevitable because now it's past tense. But at the time when I'm going through it, I don't get it. I don't realize that I'm dealing with a guy who was a kid once and probably loved the Beatles and chased after his dreams and probably starved, and he's telling me stories about starving and falling, and even him being into movies was almost kind of a fluke. So, but it seems inevitable because of what you're seeing now. So, just because like the state that you're in is not necessarily where you end up, but if you think about where you end up, you're probably never be in that state. I don't know. Yeah. Like, and if it's not fun for me, it's not fun.
Right.
And things are different now. I'm gonna be a father soon and things like that. So
I'm
just like,
yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. So I'm just like, thinking to myself, it's like when I'm not here to explain it, will I have done it well enough that he'll understand? Yeah. If you do it well, right. The things that you're trying to be, because maybe I'll never be able to explain. If it comes out of my mouth, he would probably be like, whatever, Dad. But
well, nephew, you just got a lot of game from your dad. You'll be seeing this years from now on YouTube or something, or whatever the platform will be or transform into.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Oh man, yeah, this is legendary right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you guys for inviting me. It's been a while since I've talked about anything, so I was like, all right.
Yeah, man.
I'm just so busy, like I'm making a new album and doing all these kind of things.
We gotta have you back when you do that.
Yeah, I'm doing the movie. I don't even know can I talk about it?
I don't know if we can.
I don't know if we can. I don't know.
It's still brewing, man.
It's still brewing. It's good. It's good. Like I said, I think I'm gonna play an unstoppable killer. Watch out for my roundhouse kick.
That's right.
Don't be fooled, folks. I can look me what I want to.
It would be cool if we are in production by the time this, we release this episode. That would be dope.
Oh yeah. Well, Phil's got a head full of ideas. Phil's got some good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Phil's gonna help me get a couple of things together. But I'm looking forward to really looking forward to making a comic book, because it's just like I really want to get my, having black creators and artists and characters in comic book. Plus I'm Haitian. It's a Haitian character. Just like it means a lot to me to kind of take like the folklore of where I'm about and show it in why it has a certain kind of power, and so I can build a universe. So I'm looking forward to that. Because anybody can follow pretty pictures. So I'm down with that.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you, man, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you in advance for your contributions.
Oh yeah.
And, man, we got a lot of stuff planned. Goodness gracious.
Thanks for coming. I love hearing your passion.
Oh.
He dropped a lot of game on us.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. No, I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I was like, you want to talk about doing stuff? I done stuff. I don't know if any of it matters, but since you asked, but thank you for having me out here.